Hey y'all, welcome to Kamira's Kitchen. Today I'm bringing you guys a hashtag Soul Food Sunday with soul food cooking and smoking and grilling with AB. Go ahead and search that hashtag and see what they're cooking today for Soul Food Sunday this month. Now I'm bringing you guys a holiday themed one. We're going to be doing a brown sugar mustard ham, some wine braised greens, cranberry and pineapple relish, some andouille sausage dressing, as well as scalloped potatoes, and some yeast angel biscuits. You guys are going to love these recipes. I'm going to start off by making the relish because this is going to need a long time to cool. So I'm going to add 12 ounces of cranberries with 1 cup of the juice from the pineapple and the mandarin oranges, a 15-ounce can of oranges, and 8 ounces of crushed pineapple. A half a cup of sugar. Now, y'all know cranberry relish is basically jam, so don't even be up in here talking about this too sweet, okay? I'm going to mix this together, and then I am going to add in 1 box of Jell-O. Like, now, I know everyone don't do this, okay? But, you know, my auntie taught me how to do this, and I absolutely love it. You can use the strawberry kind or the orange kind, and I've had great results with either. I'm going to let this come to a simmer for about, 6 minutes until you hear them cranberries pop, okay? That's how you're going to know they're getting soft. And then you want to refrigerate this overnight or 6 hours. I like to add in half of a cup of pecans with the heat turned off and then just let this set. Are you guys riding hard for the ham or the turkey this year? Okay, I'm usually a turkey girl, but y'all, this brown sugar ham, whoo child. Give me a curly tail and call me a pig. Now, this is a 9-pound ham. It was already kind of in some brown sugar glaze, just in its juices, and I left it, okay? And I like to get sliced hams because ain't nobody trying to be carving a ham, at least for me, okay? Now, I'm going to take cloves, and I'm just going to put them all around the ham. I'll put them in some of the slices, but mostly I'm going to concentrate the cloves on the top because I want them to go into the fat. And when that fat sort of melts down in the oven, it'll sort of add that clovey flavor. Now, to me, if you don't got clove, you ain't had ham. Okay, so this is a must. But if you are really against clove or if you just don't want to take the time to spike, you could just add maybe 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves to the sauce. I'm going to score the back because typically that is not sliced. And then I am going to add the cloves in sort of on the, in the little intersections. All right. Next thing we're going to make is a brown sugar mustard rum glaze. Yes. So I have a half of a cup of brown sugar. I'm going to add in about 1/4 cup of Dijon mustard. Even if you're not a mustard fan, it's not going to go crazy. Now I'm going to put a little rum in there, y'all. A little Bacardi. Come on now. It's not going to be strong. It's just going to add, that little holiday vibe. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm going to use about 1 tablespoon of honey. And I like to add in some spices. So I'm going to use about 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and about 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Of course, if you're using your ground clove, you could add it in now. And I'm going to put in a pinch of salt. I have 2 tablespoons of hot butter. That's going to just help the brown sugar melt because I won't try and heat this up on the stove. Okay. I'm going to pour half the glaze on the ham now, and then I'll save the other half to use near the end before I broil it. Now, y'all, I'm going to cook this at 325 for 2 to 2.5 hours covered with foil. You should baste every 30 minutes, but don't make the mistake I made. Guys, I was cooking so many dishes, and I forgot to baste, and unfortunately, my ham dried out a little bit. And I'm telling you, I know how to do some ham, okay, if you've seen my other holiday videos, but this is what happens when you are a YouTuber and you are filming, okay? You forget, so don't forget like me, okay? I hope you guys are not disappointed. But the ham still tasted great. So this is after 2.5 hours. I went in, I basted it. It's a little crispy around the edges, okay? You know what I'm saying? But we're going to eat it, all right? And then I'm going to pour on the other half of the glaze, and I am just going to lightly broil this like on low for about, 3 minutes until the glaze just gets really sticky, and I wanted it, kind of have that tacky feeling on the top. Now, this ham had a wonderful flavor. It was so delicious. And if you baste, you're definitely not going to have the slight drying out problem at all, because I've done ham so many times. But you guys, I hope you all enjoy that recipe. Now, I'm going to start on some turkey neck gravy. So I bought these separately because, of course, I'm not making a turkey today. So I'm going to add in some carrots, some celery, half of an onion, some garlic, 2 turkey necks, a bay leaf, lots of herbs. So I like sage, thyme, little rosemary, okay? And I'm going to add enough water to cover everything. I think the easiest way to do this is to pressure cook this in the Instant Pot if you have one. I don't really want this to simmer on my stove for about 2 to 3 hours. So I'm just going to pressure cook this for about 30 minutes. And at that point, the turkey meat will be falling off the bone and the vegetables will have done everything that they gonna do, okay? I am going to add in a tablespoon of chicken bouillon and about half a tablespoon of garlic bouillon. This broth will make our gravy, but it will also be used to make our andouille sausage cornbread dressing. When it is done, I am going to sieve it. So I'm just going to pour everything into a sieve. There's a bowl at the bottom to catch it because y'all know we ain't wasting the goodness. Okay. And then I'm going to take out the turkey necks and just pick off the meat. And y'all, honestly, I be chewing on the bones. Okay. You know, we be tossing them, but I be chewing on them. Anybody else do that? Now, to start on our dressing, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of butter, and I'm going to put in half of an onion, 2 ribs of celery, and half of a red bell pepper. I'm going to saute this till it's getting nice and brown, okay, like me, baby. And then I am going to add on a little bit of Creole seasoning and about 3 cloves of garlic and about 7 leaves of sage, which is pretty much the only time I be using sage, okay, is with this stuffing in holiday time. So I'm going to just saute that, and then I'm going to add in about half of a teaspoon of thyme. I'm going to use about half of a teaspoon of this poultry magic, and I'm also going to add some salt-free Cajun seasoning. Just mostly, I'm going to tell y'all the truth, mostly doing this to taste, okay? I'm going to saute this for about 30 more seconds, and then I'm going to clear the pan. Then I am going to brown up some Cajun andouille sausage. I'm only using about 4 ounces today because I didn't want mine super meaty. But you could add in 8 ounces if you want a lot of meat in yours, all right? Now, a few of my subscribers have told me that adding 1 box of Jiffy into my cornbread dressing is actually good. Y'all, if this is not good, let me tell you, I'm gonna kick you outside, and I ain't gonna let you take no leftovers, okay? Potty break in the woods. You hear what I'm trying to tell you? So this better be good, okay? Now to this, I am going to be adding in 1 box of stovetop stuffing, the chicken and sort of savory herbs one, and then I'm gonna add in my sausage and my sauteed vegetables. I'm going to mix this together, and then I'm going to add in 1 can of cream of chicken. You could also use cream of mushroom, and about 2.5 cups of broth. I add in 2 cups of broth first, and then add the half a cup when I felt like, it needed a little more moisture. I'm also going to add a little bit more of that poultry magic just to taste, to season everything. And then you want to give everything a taste before you add in the egg, and so I'm going to add in 1 egg as well. Once this is all mixed together, I'm going to put it in my baking dish, and I'm going to cook this at 375 for about 35 to 40 minutes. Now, if you double this recipe and say do it in an aluminum pan, you're definitely going to need to increase the cook time to probably about 45 to 50 minutes because it's going to be rather thick. Now, y'all, if y'all have enjoyed these holiday meals, this Soul Food Sunday meals, go ahead and give your girl a like and subscribe because, baby, y'all know that I am bringing y'all consistent full meals on a weekly basis. You're never going to run out of ideas. If you ever think I don't know what to make for dinner, you can come straight to my channel page and pick a video and you good to go. Now, if you would like to make a suggestion, go ahead and let me know in the comments. You know what? This dressing actually came out the bomb. So you know what, baby? Y'all come on back in, okay? I'm going to let y'all take some leftovers because you know what? This dressing was actually really good. Now, this turkey gravy, easy. I'm just going to put about 5 cups of the broth in a pot. I'm going to add the turkey meat, and then I am going to add in about a tablespoon of cornstarch with about 1/4 of a cup of water mixed in, and I'm going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes or so until it thickens up. I'm going to add salt and pepper just to taste, and that's all you need for a delicious, easy gravy. It already has the flavors from the veggies and the turkey bone and all that goodness. Y'all, these wine braised greens are some of the best greens of my life. And if I'm lying, I'm flying, baby, and my tail's still on the ground. Big mama, if you make this, they gonna be drinking up that pot liquor. And shoot, you may even get your big daddy, okay, bring around these greens. Because these greens gonna set it off, let me tell you, okay. So I am going to be putting in some brown sugar, some chipotle and garlic seasoning, Creole seasoning, pepper, and red pepper flakes. I'm adding this to my sauteed bacon and onions. I'm also going to add about a half of a tablespoon of chicken bouillon, and I'm just going to saute this for about a minute. Then I'm putting in 1 cup of a dry red wine. I'm just using, a little expensive one from the Aldi's, okay? And I'm going to add this. Now, you want to let this simmer until this sort of reduces by about half. So there's not going to be any alcohol in the greens. But this white wine is kind of going to act like your vinegar because it's acidic. And it is going to add a wonderful flavor. Then I'm going to put in a mixture of kale, turnip, and mustard greens, and 2 turkey tails. I know y'all know about that, okay? I'm going to add in a liter of boiling water just to help reduce the greens right away from my kettle. I'm going to cover this and I'm going to let this simmer for about 1 hour to 1 hour and 10 minutes. Y'all gonna love these greens. They are tender. They are easy. Since I didn't use collards, there's not any bitterness. So good, okay? Top tier recipe. The scalloped potatoes are so easy. I'm going to add in some chicken bouillon as well as some salt. And I have thinly sliced and peeled about 2.5 to 3 pounds of potatoes. I ain't weigh them, okay? And then I am going to parboil them for about 5 minutes until the inside is still a little raw, but the outside is starting to cook. I'm going to strain them and then I'm going to make this sauce. Now, I should have added more flour to the sauce to make it thicker. And so you'll see the correction in the description box. But you know what? This was some of the best scalloped potato sauce I've ever made. So I added some butter. I added 2 tablespoons of flour, about 1/4 of an onion, and 3 cloves of garlic. And I sauteed that until, it was nice and smelling good. And I'm going to put in about 1.5 cups of whole milk and about 1 cup of half and half. And then I'm going to put in whatever cheeses I got in my fridge. So in this case, I used white cheddar cheese and mozzarella. But my favorite cheese to use is Swiss cheese and Gruyere cheese and Parmesan. So use that if you have it. Then season to taste with Vegeta, garlic powder, pepper, and low sodium Creole seasoning. All right, mix this, let it simmer until the cheeses melt, and you are going to have an amazing sauce. However, I think I should have added about 4 tablespoons of flour. But you know what? Okay, them children are going to eat it. You hear what I'm trying to tell you? Okay. I'm going to add in the sauce, and then I'm going to be layering the sauce and the potatoes. You may see that some of them break a little bit. It's not a big deal. And then I'm going to add on a little bit of cheese, and then I'm going to put on more sauce, and then I'm going to top everything with some cheddar cheese. I'm going to end up baking this at 375 for about 30 to 40 minutes. First, I cover it for about 20 minutes just to make sure the inside of the potatoes cook. And then I uncover it for about the last 20 minutes to make sure all the cheeses get brown. Now, at this point, I realized my sauce was going to topple over. And I didn't want to do my oven like that. So I went ahead and I put this on top of a baking sheet. And I proceeded with the cooking instructions. Next up is these Yeast Angel Biscuits. This is like if yeast rolls and biscuits came together and had a baby, okay? So I have 5 cups of self-rising flour. Into this, I'm adding 2 packages of fast-rising yeast, 1/4 cup of sugar, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to mix this together, and then I'm adding in 1 stick of cold, unsalted butter, and I have already cut it into little pieces. I'm also going to add 1/2 cup of butter-flavored shortening. That's also cold. Now, I started out using a fork, and then I realized that wasn't going to work for me. I just went straight in there with my hands, and I started breaking it up until they were like in small piece sizes, and the flour would sort of hold together when I crush it in my hand, and then I could crumple it apart. Okay, so this is like the biscuit vibe. but I have the yeast in there, which is going to give it like a yeasty flavor. I'm going to put in 2.5 cups of buttermilk, which is also cold, and I'm going to start to stir everything together with my wooden spoon. Now, at some point, it's going to come together and it's going to get a little bit sticky. That's when we're going to slightly knead it, okay, which you don't do with biscuits. So remember, this is combo, okay? So don't come for me in these comments, okay? So I'm going to put the dough on a lightly floured surface, aka my counter, and I am going to very gently sort of knead it until it just comes together. Now, you're not really working it because you don't want the gluten to form, but I'm going to gently handle it a few times until it's not quite as sticky, okay? So I'm only going to do this for a few seconds. Use flour as needed and on your hands and on the dough in order to help you work it. Now, let me know if you have ever made these yeast biscuits before. I think they have a great little yeasty flavor and they become very light in my opinion. However, these jokers was big, okay? They spread out and they rose a whole lot. Once I have lightly worked my dough, I'm going to press it out into 1 inch and then I'm going to fold it over. Then I'm going to fold it over again on the 90 degrees, and then I'm going to press it out to 1 inch again. I am going to repeat this about 2 to 3 times very quickly so that I can start to try to develop some layers in the biscuits. Once I am done, I am going to press it out to about 1 inch, a 1 inch rectangle, and then I am going to use my big old biscuit cutter to cut out some biscuits. Now this is a big one. This is like a 3-inch biscuit cutter. I'm going to lightly flour it and then I'm going to press straight down. You don't want to twist because that will prevent them from rising. I'm going to make sure my biscuits are close together because I want as little left over as possible. All right, I'm going to make a lot of biscuits out of this, and once I have gotten my first round of biscuits, I'm going to carefully push the dough back together, and then I'm going to make some more biscuits until I've used up all of the dough. When my biscuits are done, this is what I have. I put some of them in a greased cast iron skillet, and I've also put the overflow, okay, onto a baking tray. I greased that as well. I'm going to cover them and just let them rise a little bit for about 45 minutes to an hour in a warm spot. They won't necessarily double, but they will get a little bit puffy, and I'll give it time for that yeast to activate. Then I'm going to brush them with some heavy cream just so the tops get a little brown. I'm going to put them in a 400-degree oven for 15 to 20 minutes. You want to watch it until the tops are brown and it's cooked thoroughly. Then I'm going to brush them with honey butter, okay? And then I'm going to top them with even more honey because I just love the sweetness on these particular biscuits. And y'all, this meal has come together so well. You've got your relish, your stuffing, your ham, your biscuits, those greens, gravy, scalloped potatoes, everything. Let me know what you're going to make from this meal. I hope you guys love these recipes. You guys know that I love you. Jesus loves you. He's the savior of the world. And I appreciate you guys so much for supporting this channel. I'm going to see you next time in Kamir's Kitchen. Goodbye.